All right, top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on. We are live. This is an update on the American Airlines and Blackhawk collision that transpired yesterday around 9 o'clock-ish Eastern Standard Times. There's said to be no survivors left. They have begun retrieving bodies out of the river. There's been a total of 27 retrieved so far, a total of 67 total with the airline passengers and the Blackhawk Army aircraft. Total of 67 people have lost their lives. My condolences go out to the family. I'm going to do the share on this and we'll get right into the press conference and the update.
That don't lead into that answer. But again, I think whether it was air traffic control, whether it was military aircraft, helicopters, or the American flight.
Uh-oh. Okay, it should be coming back in. Here it is.
Everything was standard in the lead up to the crash. Now, obviously, there was something happened here. You'll get more information and more details as this investigation moves forward. We'll learn what happened. But again, those who live in the DC area, we see military helicopters fly up and down the river. It's a standard path that they fly. They're used to aircraft landing at DCA, and there's a procedure in place because this happens every day. Something went wrong here. I look forward to the time and point when we can give you that information, but I don't want to comment on that right now.
Okay. Senator Kane, Senator Warner, you all have been, very vocal about your concerns about busy runways here, air traffic. I know it's still early in the investigation. I'm just curious if any steps that you all plan to take to address that.
We have raised this issue continuously. We've got very busy airspace. I think we will ask questions, but at the appropriate time. But we are in this period right now where families are still being notified. We're trying to figure out what happened. There'll be time for those discussions.
Yeah, I'd just say the same thing. We've been pretty plain about our concerns, but it isn't a good time to speculate right now. We have faith that the NTSB will provide the answers about this.
Okay, you four here, and I'm going to take three in the middle, and then we're going to have to wrap 1, 2, 3 after this young man.
Thank you, appreciate it. Chief, I know, again, I can imagine it must be traumatic for your first responders to have to deal with this. How are they doing right now, and are you all going to be offering any services to help them as they process this?
So thank you for the question. Our first responders are resilient people, but yes, this call will be hard for them. Our peer support teams are already engaged with the responders, and we'll be following up on that to make sure that they're okay. But I think the concern is real.
Okay.
Thank you, Victoria. What kind of communication was there between the helicopter and the tower, the plane and the tower, and the helicopter and the plane?
I don't want to say too much on the communication between the helicopter and the tower and the airline and the tower, but I will say this: there was communication. It was I would say standard communication. So there was not a breakdown, if that's your question, in communication between the military helicopter and the American airline flight. There was communication between the aircraft and the tower.
Was the plane aware there was a helicopter in the area?
I would say the helicopter was aware that there was a plane in the area.
You mentioned that,
So the president, you said yesterday that he called into the briefing room. Has he returned to the briefing room since then? Have you spoken? Also a question about the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz. He's saying that there was 30 bodies that have been recovered. That you just said that in the White House. Curious, I know you're in this presser right now, so that's hard for you to update, but I do have the question on POTUS in the briefing room.
I can do the body. Okay. So in terms of body recovery, as we recover bodies, we have a process, and we're not counting any bodies until they're in the possession of the medical director. So there may be some fluctuating in numbers that other people would report, but our numbers from the medical examiner.
So just in regard to the president in the briefing room, I've been with this team for the last hour plus as we've worked through the details of the information we wanted to give you. But it is my understanding that either this morning he was going to be in the situation room, or the situation room is obviously briefing the president. He has been kept in full appraisal of what is taking place.
Okay, last two, you, and you ma'am, first.
you mentioned that the aircraft was on a standard flight pattern. Just curious, when the airport opens at 11 stage, will planes be on that flight pattern again, or are they being directed to fly a different way to land?
Josh, do you want to?
Well, I mean, safety is paramount, and I don't have that information quite yet from the FAA, so I don't want to provide information I don't want to provide an answer or inaccurate information on what routes will be flown out of DCA.
Okay, last one.
Two questions really quickly. What do you know about the experience and history of the pilots of both the American Airlines plane and
I don't have
the
that
Airlines
information
and
quite
Blackhawk
yet.
helicopter? And then for Secretary Duffy, last night the president had said that this could have been prevented and questioned why air traffic control didn't tell a helicopter what to do. Is that something that investigators have determined should have happened in this situation?
Secretary. Just quickly, I don't have a lot of information to release, but these were experienced pilots.
This is the CEO of American Airlines that's speaking right now.
Or almost 6 years at PSA, and the first officer almost 2 years. Again, standard approach, and that's about all I can say. Thank you.
In regard to the military, I don't have information in regard to the experience of the military pilots. I would just note that this was classified as a training mission. Sometimes people could think that a training mission is someone who is inexperienced in the cockpit. We call these missions that are flown in the DC area as our pilots are getting hours in experience training missions. So don't read into that we had how many hours the pilots on the military aircraft had. And you had another question for me that was.
Last night the president had said that this could be prevented, and also that air traffic control, questioning why they may not have communicated with the helicopter.
So we are going to wait for all the information to come in from this vantage point, but to back up what the president said, what I've seen so far, do I think this was preventable? Absolutely.
Is there an acting FAA director?
Okay, so let me stop the share on that. Okay, so let me stop the share on that. Unfortunately, there are said to be no survivors at this point, and this is not the time to start deregulating security and safety measures. While I will keep it with empathy and compassion. The fact that you have unqualified people in positions and places of authorities, and when situations and circumstances like this occur, they are not competent or equipped or learned enough to answer the questions. And so many of you can go back to the press conference and you can see those who are experienced and who have knowledge and those who lack knowledge in this area who were selected by this person that's supposed to be the president of the United States who are not qualified. Okay, so here's the thing. Yesterday, American Airlines and a Blackhawk collided. American Airlines aircraft was already basically had descended and was on getting ready to land. And what you see is an Army Blackhawk it looked as though it came behind it or on the side of it and collided with it. And after that, you just seen both planes swiftly fall into the Potomac River. They both fell. And so the river has been frozen. They said it was extremely windy last night. 300 search and rescue members have been on the ground all night looking for survivors. They said they didn't see any. So they have begun to retrieve bodies. So far at this point, there are 27 bodies that have been retrieved. I want to give my condolences to the figure skaters from the United States Olympic team as well, because at least 14 were said to be U.S. Olympic figure skaters or in that genre. So my condolences also go out again to the family members who have been on the ground and have been waiting all night for this flight, and at this point are waiting for family members to be retrieved and recovered from the river. Again, this person that's in office have dialed back safety regulations. He had signed executive orders deregulating safety of federal aviation. And so when you start dialing back safety measures, things like this can occur. Not saying it is the reason that this particular collision occurred, but when you don't have safety measures in place, things like this occur. And again, my heart goes out to the family members. You said, how is this even possible? You could hear from the towers, aviation saying, workers saying that specific plane, they was like, okay, so what's going on here? How's it possible? Safety measures. Some people who have flown Black Hawk and were in the military said, sometimes things like that can happen. It was a test. They were testing. The military were testing. The military personnel were testing. Okay, so there is 3 of them that was on the Black Hawk. They were out testing, and then you already had the American Airlines plane, like right there, basically getting ready to just touch the runway. I mean, it was just that freaking close. And again, when you get people in authority, and I'm not saying it is the lack of deregulation that has been put in place since 2025, the beginning of January, that causes, however, we cannot afford to be caustic as a nation, and we cannot afford to have leadership who can't comprehend anything or have no knowledge of what to do, how to do, when to do, where to do, and are not equipped enough to handle situations like this. We cannot have leadership in place deregulating the safety of aircraft, the aviation department, things like this. No, we can say this never should occur. They could not answer the question. Can you say, oh, it's safe to fly? How can you say it's safe to fly when you didn't came in and deregulate? Safety measures put in place. So that was a question that was asked and that was brought up. Again, my condolences go out to the family. All of the bodies have not been retrieved yet. I have been watching this since 9 yesterday on different channels. Some people have been streaming all night from different perspectives. And it is absolutely a tragedy for those families. The one man is still standing at the airport waiting for his wife. He had just got finished texting them. We are getting ready to land. And and he's standing out there. And what he see after that is boom, fall into the river. He's still out there waiting for his wife. So again, this is a tragedy. My condolences go out to our family members. This is completely catastrophic. And we as U.S. citizens, we need to ride the behinds of our officials, elected officials, and the like. And so with that being said, I'm gonna get off here. You all have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and stay actively engaged, everybody. Bye-bye.